Hey guys, and welcome back to Series 2, Episode 16 of the House Renovation.
I just need to stop doing that now. You guys have been absolutely smashing the like button on these videos, which is incredible. It really does mean so much to us that you like these videos, and it also really helps out on the YouTube algorithm that...
Whatever that is.
Whatever that is. It just helps. And if you're not, make sure you hit the subscribe button to follow our renovation series to see more videos of us rambling and not really knowing what we're doing on the house.
Anyway, in today's video, James gets his woodwork skills on and brings us a teeny tiny step closer to actually having a kitchen.
And Holly also picked some strawberries.
He's not wrong.
So I thought I would give you a little rundown of the actual kitchen, what it looks like so far, and yes, you could probably tell that it looks nothing like an actual kitchen. We have got a million boxes still to actually build all of the flat pack stuff for the kitchen. We've got all of these flat pack boxes here, we've got more flat pack there, more flat pack there. Some of the cabinets that we have built are now in this room, so we can't even use our sofa or our lounge or anything, and we're a mile away from actually having a kitchen because there is still quite a lot we've got to do. In the previous video I spoke about the extractor fan, the extractor pipe, so I busted a hole in the chimney up there to see if I can put the extractor pipe into the old flue pipe, which is the one just there, which isn't doable, so now I've got to cut a hole in the ceiling up there and run the extractor pipe out across the ceiling. I've still got to block all of this up. There's still a lot to do. There's like kind of boarding out I've got to do behind here to make this alcove be able to have the worktop and stuff go on it. There's a bit more building out in this section here for the top corner cupboards. And another thing, what you might have been wondering, is why did I not paint this section of the chimney breast when I painted this room? And the short and easy answer is, I've no idea. I have no idea why I never even painted that. So a couple layers of white paint later, and as you can see, the section of the side of the chimney has now been painted and it looks so much better than it did before. And again, I have no idea why I left that section unpainted when I painted the rest of the room white. I don't really know why I didn't just paint it at the time, but anyway, you might also see as well that I've now left a section at the bottom of the side of the chimney, and that is because that area is going to be covered up by the bottom cupboard, so a waste of time and a waste of paint to actually paint that. And again, the section up here, as you can see, hasn't actually been properly painted either, and that is because the top cupboards are going to be covering that section up. And yes, I've still got to put a brick in there, but my next plan of attack is to actually tackle the actual whole of the chimney. So ever since we decided that we were going to be putting the kitchen into this room, and when we took the log burner out, I always had the idea that this hole in the chimney was going to be bricked up, so the brick looks identical the whole way down. I would have had to have gone and got some old red brick to actually brick it all up and then paint it white and stuff, so it looks the same the whole way. But now we've started to build some of these cupboards and I can get my exact heights and my exact measurements and stuff. Now the floor's done and the cupboards are here and everything. I basically just kind of realised something. If I work out the height of where the worktop is going to go, and then we've got a bit of an upstand on top of the worktop, all of that ends at this height here. So everything below this level is going to be hidden and not visible. So in my eyes now, this is kind of completely pointless by spending a lot of time and probably quite a bit of money actually bricking and blocking this up, because you will never ever see it because it's all going to be behind and hidden behind the cupboards. The only section which you're going to see is this tiny little section up here, like this much. So my new plan is to not brick it up and to actually just basically fill this section with some wood. But if we take a slightly closer look, it's still going to be a little bit of a challenge. The main reason is This black section up here is solid metal. It's the lintel which is holding all of the brick of the chimney up above it. So there is no way of actually putting screws into that metal. And also, as you can see here, the brickwork is really not very flat, not very level, and not very nice to actually put some wood against. It's kind of all over the place on both sides. The original idea would have been to put wood batten straight up vertically up into here, but like I said, this being metal is going to be virtually impossible to get any screws up into here. So the new plan is to basically put wood horizontally across the actual hole and work out all of the height. So for instance, this height here, this is going to be the section where the holes so on the back of the cupboards, we've got these kind of fixing holes. So that is basically at this height here. So I'm going to want a batten running along that section there to give a little bit more reinforcement, and then a few more pieces of wood, and then we can get some MDF and basically fill that hole completely. So one of the most important things that I had to do here was to put the wood in the correct position, because when I put the MDF on, that had to be exactly flush with the existing brick. So as you can see now with this offcut of MDF, that it's perfectly flush with the existing brick. So this is probably quite a good time to explain if you don't know already. I'm not a builder, I'm not a carpenter, I just enjoy doing DIY and doing things myself. So if you're watching and you're thinking that I'm doing this wrong, please let me know in the comment section down below what I'm doing wrong and what I should do better. Because I'm basically just making it all up as I go along. And again, as you can see here, I'm just double checking that the MDF is going to be perfectly level with that existing brick, because that is so important. So the back of the cupboards actually have this bracket on here, so we could literally just put a screw straight through there and screw it straight into the wall. But alternatively, with IKEA, they actually sell this kind of long metal bracket which we can attach to the wall, and then this kind of bracket here with the hooks on it actually hook over this bracket. So as long as we put this bracket on the wall all nice and level, we know that every single cupboard which is going to hook over this bracket is going to be perfectly flat and perfectly level. So I've just got the instructions out for the bracket to get my exact measurements, and as you can see here, we need to go exactly 820mm off of the floor, and that is the height of the bracket. So if we now look at the piece of wood which I've just put in, you can see I've made a mark at 820mm, which is 820mm from the tiles to the bottom of this piece of wood. Now the reason why it's at the bottom is because that is the bottom mark for that metal bracket. So that metal bracket will be fitting exactly onto this piece of wood here. So that is why we put this specific piece of wood in at that specific height, because we know that in the long run, when we actually come to fit the kitchen, that we've got a nice solid fixing behind that rail. So I've now made this right here. This is basically another piece of wood which is going to go across here, and this is holding our deep back boxes, because this whole section here, this is where the oven, the microwave and the induction hob is going. So that is why I've got 3 of these really deep back boxes, 47mm metal back boxes, and I've put them onto this piece of wood here just to give them a little bit more kind of rigidity. I think that's the word, rigidity, because the electrics in a kitchen need this cable, which is a big thick 6mm cable, so they kind of take a little bit of like bending and twisting and stuff when it's all properly wired in. So that's why we've gone for those deep ones and made it nice and secure on this piece of wood. And another reason why this piece of wood is at this height is because these sockets are now going to be dead center in the actual back of the cabinet for the oven, which is going to be here, the microwave, which is going to be here, and then the induction hob, which is going to be on top here. Means all of the wiring and stuff can happen in and behind the actual cupboards. No. Now the battery dies. So Holly hasn't actually seen any of this, and now she's behind the camera.
It looks incredible.
What are you saying?
I'm well impressed. All the little details all like around the edges.
And it's all going to be hidden.
And we're never going to see it again.
The one thing which I've been like really focusing on is to make sure that this is level with the actual brick. So if you actually look now where this is where that rail is, what I said is going to have to go along the back edge of the cupboards.
Let me refocus, there we go.
Look how flush it is between the actual brick and this new piece of wood. You can't really get much better than that, can you, Holly?
That's pretty impressive.
So all what's left for me to do now is to get some caulk, and then I'm basically just going to fill this gap in. Even though we said that we're not actually going to see any of this, for the time being I don't just want to be looking at a block of MDF on the wall. So I'm just going to caulk it in and then literally just put a coat of paint over it just so it kind of looks a little bit better.
I think it looks amazing.
I'll be glad to see the end of it that way. So I'm actually going to do this in a few different layers because caulk doesn't normally like it if you put too much in. If it's too thick, it literally doesn't dry. So I'm literally just going to squeeze it in like I've done there. I know it looks kind of messy at the moment, but then tomorrow, once it's dry, I can just layer it a few more times before I actually paint it. I've just got to, you know, get around the rest of it now. Alright, so it looks so much better now. I've started to paint this wood white. It looks way more in keeping and not so much like just a piece of MDF stuck onto the wall, which it did just a second ago. But one thing I thought I'd re-mention again is all of the heights and stuff, because I did say earlier that from about this level down, we're not going to see anything. We've actually decided that we're going to have a glass splashback on the wall as well, which is going to completely cover it. So the height here, this line, that is going to be the height of the worktop, and then we've got like an upstand, a wooden upstand. So basically the worktop has another piece of wood which goes along the wall as well, and then above that we've got a white splashback, a glass splashback, which is going to go all the way along this piece of wall here, because this is where the hob's going to go. So if we're going to be cooking some like pasta sauce or something and there's going to be flicking red sauce everywhere, we've got another bit of protection onto the wall so we can just easily wipe it down, but we're still going to have all of this exposed all of this exposed brickwork above it and stuff, and I think it's going to look super nice, and I feel like we've done enough for the house, or the inside of the house today. I think it's time that Holly showed us how the garden's getting on.
So the first thing we have to show you is James's grass, which from back there looks amazing. It looks like a proper lawn. There is a few gaps when you get up close, but you can just look from there. And then the next thing, the most unbelievable thing, is the pumpkins. They were small when we put them in about a month ago, and now they're absolute monsters. This has only been about a month, and they're already huge. Two of them didn't make it. One of them got rolled on by a cat, and the other one got eaten by slugs. And it's probably a good job, to be honest, because these, I'm not even sure how many we have left because they've all kind of merged together. They're huge, and I'm not really sure what we're going to do, but they're starting to flower already. We did have one flower out, but no pumpkins started yet, but I got a good feeling about them this year. Courgette, on the other hand, is not long for this world. We are not going to have any courgettes from this plant because it did get attacked by the slugs, and now it's just here as a sacrificial plant. I think this is the culprit that rolled on the pumpkin. So there is one thing that is actually ripe in the garden that is ready to eat, and that's our strawberries. I've never grown strawberries before, so I didn't really realise how quickly they went from just a flower to being an actual edible strawberry, and I'm actually really impressed. I think they're actually ready to pick. And I forgot to mention that we've now planted some leeks. They don't look like leeks, they kind of look like spring onions. Never grown these before either, so I'm not really sure what we're doing. We're kind of making it up as we do with everything, so fingers crossed for the leeks. But the sweet corn's doing well.